Hey everybody, this is Sherry with CPR, Craft, Pray, Repeat, and I'm here today with a recycled shaker card using goodies from Mama's Treasures and Cottage Cuts. So let's get started. And I'm making this a 5.5 by 5.5 square card, and you would make yours whatever size your shaker thing was going to be. And for mine to fit, I had to use a 5.5 by 5.5 square card. Now, I do know they sell little tiny shaker things, but you know, as crafters, we always can figure something out. And you know, this is something I already had, and it didn't cost me anything, which is awesome, and it makes my husband very happy. So, you know, I try to make him happy every once in a while. So I'm just using the clamshell packaging off of that AC Crafts, American Crafts double-sided tape container. And I'm using my giant Tim Holtz scissors to snip off the sides where it wraps around the cardboard. Because I didn't want the extra thickness. So I just cut that down. It left me just enough on the sides to use my 1/8 inch score tape so that I could go around and get it secured to the base. Now, I had a choice here. I used Recollections 110 pound cardstock for this. I could have attached it to another 5.5 by 5.5 inch square card base, but I decided that I was going to leave it like this, and either one of two things, either write on the back of it like a postcard, or put a pocket in there from, what's that, Lawn Fawns got a gift card pocket, and either put that on the back and maybe put a gift card in it, and then I'll make an envelope for it. But so, I mean, you know, you can do this several ways, and it's completely up to you. And right now I'm just making sure that my my score tape is attached really good, so my little plastic thingy doesn't move around. And I picked out a paper pad from Recollections, just called Valentines Day. I've had it for a while, so I don't even know if they still make it, and I was going to use the one with the hearts, and I went to pick it up so I could tear it and saw that, and I was like, oh yeah. And this works perfect because I didn't, you know, really have a sentiment on the front of my card. So what you see behind the image when I'm finished is "You are loved." And I was like, that's perfect. I was so happy. Now, this did not fit exactly, and so, I mean, some people have, you know, every 1/8 inch circle dies. Mine are 1/4 inch. So if you have the 1/8 inch, you know, you want to make it as snug of a fit as possible. And I got out my things from Mama's Treasures, and I was like, what do I want to add in there? I knew I wanted to do a shaker card with them, but I wasn't sure which ones. And then I decided, because this was the thinner packaging, it was for the 1/4 inch, that I would use the iridescent hearts that she sent me in my design team package. And then I'm just going to use some pink and red and white glass beads to go in to give me that good old shaker sound that we all like. I had a heck of a time with that lid. I was like ready to yank the whole top off by the time I got this part finished. And now I'm holding on to this thing for dear life, because I know if I don't and I pull wrong on that tape, everything's going to fly. So, you know, make sure you hang on real good. And the smart thing probably would have been to put your score tape on prior to putting, you know, everything in it that could fly away. You know, my brain just don't work that way. So I just made sure I had a real good grip on it when I took the backing off of the score tape. And I'm just finishing up taking the backing off. And you can see I put plenty. I wanted to make sure there was a good seal around the package. I don't think anything would come out anyways, but just to be safe. And there I go. I love that sound. And then I just closed the back up and it was done. And so I'm starting with my embellishment that I'm going to put on the inside of the circle. And I just used some Hickory Smoke Distress ink and an inexpensive 99-cent makeup brush from Walgreens. And I'm really liking this because you can pounce and get into places where you can't get into necessarily with your, you know, distressing tools. Like how I'm able to get in on those little tiny lines on the inside. You know, no matter what distressing tool you use, it's near impossible to get into that. And so this just works out really good. And the only thing is that your the stuff on my sticky board got slippery because of the ink. But you know, what I need to do is put everything where it's going to be and then work on it there, and instead of moving it around. And that will make, you know, things much easier for me. And you'll see that I have the entire die cut out. I end up not using it all, but when I was at this point in the project, I didn't know that I wasn't going to use it all. So, you know, better safe than sorry. And so, excuse me. So I just go ahead and I'm finishing up with the dark pieces. And this one has, the little paws were so tiny and fine that I really like being the fact that I can hold them and lift them up and get the sides, and the cat's tail I could pounce and get me some good texture. I loved it, absolutely loved it. And so we're going to put that one away, and we're going to come out with pumice stone for the lighter gray. And I just used a paper towel to wipe off there where it had gotten, you know, slippery from the prior distress ink. And this piece was really nice because, you know, when you have pieces that have little points or things that come out of them that are real bendable, you know, you didn't have to worry about the brush bending his little whiskers or anything. That was great. I loved that. That really made inking that part of his face up really easy. So I was real happy with that. And so I'm just taking my art glitter glue, and which you can, anything that I use on here, I will make sure that I put links for in the description box below, so that you can find the hearts that I use. You can find the die that I used. All of that will be, you know, marked in the, or put in the description box for you to make it easy peasy lemon squeezy for you to find. And so I'm just putting my pieces together, and I cut out the pink for his little nose, and I cut out the pink basket, but again, I end up not using it. But that's alright. I'd rather have too much than not enough. And putting his little tiny ear thingies in there, and I love the detail in these dies. I really, I wish I was talented enough to design stuff like this, because it just, I'm amazed by it. And so I'm trying to decide where to put my little head. And then I remember that I wanted to put it on the inside of that piece, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, I better check this out, because I still at this point still hadn't quite figured out what I was doing. And now I'm starting to, when I see it in there, it's starting to finally, the wheels are turning, the little hamster's running on the wheel, and Sherry's finally putting things together. So I hold it in the direction that, hold the body in the direction that I want it inside the circle, and then put the head on the way that I need it to be. And then I'm going to pull out my trusty Big Shot again and use the same size circle that I did on the inside for the paper. And these were two really thick pieces of paper tray ink paper, so I went through it a couple times just to make sure that it cut, and it did. I should have known it would cut it, because my Big Shot cuts everything. I love that bad boy. And those are just the circle framelets from Stampin' Up! That I used. And I'm going to slide that out of our way so we don't have to see that anymore. and we're gonna move on. And sorry, it's storming and Mariah's scared, so she decided that I needed to be up with her, and I'm yawning. This is my, one of my favorite things to do is I always use my black glaze pen for their little eyes. I just think it just gives them so much character. And then I'm like, oh yeah, this is where he's going. And I'm not one of these people who plan out a card. I fly by the seat of my britches. And, so when this one started to come together, I was so happy. Because I honestly, other than the shaker part, didn't have a clue what else I was going to do. So I used one of the frosted heart beads. And that's one of the things that I love about Cottage Cuts dies, is you can make their little paws hold just about anything you want. So that frosted heart bead was just perfect. And so I just used several of the micro glue dots because I wanted to make sure he stayed, or the heart stayed and didn't, fall off there, because I know it is a larger piece. And let me tell you, I have shook the tar out of this thing, and that little heart is not going anywhere. So I just put some dimensionals underneath each of the paws, and I also will use some glue because I want to make sure the part that's touching the cat is adhered as well. And so I just take the backing off, add my glue, and then prop it up against the heart so that I didn't want it beneath it. I wanted it on top of it. So it had to go up at quite a bit of an angle. So the dimensionals really helped a lot with that. And so there he is. Isn't he cute? And I was like, I want to use his tail, but I didn't know what to do. And then I realized that there was a little spot that was still not completely glued down. So, oh yeah, I squeezed his tail in. I couldn't stand the thought of that poor little kitty cat not having a tail. I was like, he's gotta have a tail. And so I just go ahead and push his tail in there and shake it around, make sure everything's the way I like it and that everything's still staying where I need it to be. And so now I've just got my white glaze pen. I'm putting the little dots in his eyes and the little glint on top of his nose. And right now it looks milky, but in a second it'll be dry and you'll see the white. And I'm just going to go in with my clear glaze pen and go over his nose so that it looks shiny and wet, just like, a kitty cat's nose would. And that stuff dries within, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds. It's not very dimensional, so it's just perfect. And that's it, guys. That is my card. And like I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to leave it like a postcard or if I'm going to put a pocket on the back and use it for like a gift card or something like that. I haven't decided yet. But that's my card. I hope that you like it. Alright, remember to practice your CPR, craft, pray, repeat. Thanks for visiting me today and happy crafting. Bye, guys.